Close SportsPulse USA Today Sports George Schroeder breaks down the college football playoff rankings. USA Today Sports After a chaotic weekend that upended the status quo, ruined the championship hopes of several contenders and shook up the college football playoff chase, what will the Football Bowl subdivision do for an encore? It's a question that doesn't really need to be asked, since we already know the answer. College football will double down on the disorder and mayhem. Last weekend saw 7 games between ranked teams, but it was an unranked team that caused the greatest havoc. Iowa's 5,524 drubbing of Ohio State knocked the Buckeyes out of the title hunt for starters, and in conjunction with Penn State's narrow loss to Michigan State, pared the Big Ten Conference's path to the playoff from 3 roads to just 1. Now the Big Ten turns to Wisconsin, hoping that the Badgers can run through the rest of the regular season unscathed and defeat the winner of the East Division, very likely one of Ohio State or Michigan State, in the conference title game to complete an undefeated regular season. It would set a worrisome precedent to leave an unbeaten Power 5 champion out of the top 4, as Wisconsin Athletics Director Barry Alvarez said this week. But to simply place 130 Wisconsin into the playoff ignores 3 factors. One is Notre Dame, ranked 3rd in the recent playoff poll, which at 111 would be difficult to unseat from the top 4. The second is Clemson, which despite an earlier loss to Syracuse seemingly controls its path to a semi-final. And the third is Oklahoma, which can make a second grand statement in as many weeks by defeating TCU. More the hidden sports finances of Army, Navy and Air Force playoff. Big Ten's big hope, Wisconsin. On outside looking in bowl projections, opportunity arises for Notre Dame. All Wisconsin can do is focus on its side of the bracket, hopeful that despite consistent concerns by the playoff selection committee over a flimsy strength of schedule, being an unbeaten major conference champion would serve as the ultimate trump card when the committee meets for its final unveiling in early December. We look at a number of strength of schedule metrics, said playoff selection committee chairman Kirby Hocutt. But consistently over the course of all of those metrics that we looked at, Wisconsin had the lowest strength of schedule amongst any of the 25 teams ranked this week. Wisconsin will have the chance to improve its strength of schedule with games against Iowa and Michigan, beginning the suddenly trendy Hawkeyes on Saturday. It's good news and bad. Wisconsin gets a top 25 opponent, which will help their strength of schedule, but after that impressive win against Ohio State, will the Hawkeyes be too much to handle? There's the weekend's first chance at additional chaos, an Iowa win against Wisconsin that would almost officially end the Big Ten's hopes of sending a team into the playoff for the 4th time in as many years. But it's not the only matchup with enormous postseason implications. The Big 12 Conference's slate leads with the Sooners and Horned Frogs, with the winner putting a stranglehold on the regular season crown and earning a spot in the league's rechristened championship game, played at that stadium in North Texas on December 2nd. An Oklahoma win would maintain the Sooners' push toward the top 4, which gained steam with last weekend's shootout win against rival Oklahoma State, yet lost some luster with Ohio State's slide from the title picture. Any challenge excites us, said TCU safety Nico Small. Whoever you put in front of us, we're going to make sure it's at least a hard game for you. In the Atlantic Coast Conference, Miami, Florida faces its greatest test to date with a home matchup against Notre Dame, marking the first time in decades that one of college football's most marketable rivalries stands for more than mere bragging rights. Notre Dame has already proven itself to the committee, if largely due its narrow loss to Georgia, but the Hurricanes have yet to receive the benefit of the doubt. Miami's been discounted for close calls against inferior competition, so a high-profile win against the Irish would significantly improve the team's playoff resume. I think what our coaches try to preach to us is the idea of a faceless opponent, said Notre Dame linebacker Drew Tranquill. We have to focus on our game plan and focus on what's going to occur. They're a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old guys just like we are. We have to focus on execution of our game plan in order to win. And then there's the Southeastern Conference. Georgia must pass a stiff test at Auburn, which brings its own playoff hopes into the second Saturday of November despite holding 2 losses. 10th in this week's playoff poll, the Tigers theoretically can play their way into a semi-final by knocking off the Bulldogs this Saturday, rival Alabama, to end November, and then earning a second win against Georgia in the SEC championship game. WOLKEN column in 2007, Kansas and Missouri were something special more. 2016 meltdown at Georgia still bothers Auburn. Meanwhile, a beaten-up Alabama team will get Mississippi State's best shot on the road. The injuries are adding up for the Tide, specifically on defense, and the Bulldogs are quietly putting together a season worthy of consideration for a New Year's Six bowl. Would a Mississippi State win be an upset? Sure. But it would be too shocking, if that makes any sense, when considering the Bulldogs' offensive production and Alabama's mounting injuries on defense. Now, take stock of how the playoff picture may change come Sunday morning. If the status quo holds, the top five won't differ: Georgia and Alabama, then Notre Dame, then Clemson, and then Oklahoma. But an Auburn win would create a new number one, very likely Alabama, as long as the Tide win. A Notre Dame loss would vault Miami at least into the top 5, if not into the top 4. An Oklahoma loss would place TCU into the Big 12 driver's seat, though it might hurt the league's overall chances at placing its champion into a national semi-final. So that's where things stand. At best, the playoff debate can solidify around a clear top 5, the two SEC teams, Notre Dame, Clemson and Oklahoma, with as soon as the team most likely to benefit from an Alabama or Georgia loss. At worst, on the other hand, college football's title chase takes another swerve toward anarchy. OU loses to TCU. Miami tops Notre Dame. Iowa knocks off the Badgers. Auburn gets the better of Georgia. You'd say that's crazy, but that's not true. It's just the final weeks of college football's regular season. Southern California Trojans running back Ronald Jones to photo Kirby Lee, USA Today Sports. Each week, he'll take one look back at the weekend that was to present a Pulitzer Prize nomination to the nation's most impressive player. The selection committee consists of one person, me, and will eventually convene in December to award the ultimate prize. Ronald Jones, Southern California. Any conversation about college football's top running back starts with Penn State's Saquon Barkley, drifts to Stanford's Bryce Love, and may eventually touch on San Diego State's Rashad Penny. Jones, meanwhile, doesn't get a sniff. But he should. USC's star rusher is as complete as any back in the country, Barkley included, as he showed in the Trojans' 4,935 win against Arizona. Jones rushed for 194 yards, giving him 410 yards in his past 2 games, and added another 39 yards receiving to spark USC to a crucial divisional win. Games USHOULDNT miss. It's impossible to every game. I know, I've tried. Until the invention of picture-in-picture television technology, I'm here to help. In each time window, here are this Saturday's games you can't afford to miss. Times Eastern noon: number 16 Michigan State at number 11 Ohio State. Fox. They'll meet with the Big Ten East Division on the line and with the Spartans heavy underdogs, which doesn't make too much sense given how each team heads into Saturday afternoon. Number 2 Georgia and number 10 Auburn, 3:30 p.m. CBS. A win here for Auburn doesn't change things for the Bulldogs, who can still make the playoff by winning out, but it would solidify the Tigers' place as a legitimate threat to reach a semi-final with 2 losses. Prime time: number 5 Notre Dame at number 6 Miami, 8 p.m. ABC. Not to discount the importance of TCU at Oklahoma, but come on, this is Notre Dame and Miami. After dark: Boise State at Colorado State, 10:30 p.m. CBS Sports Network. There's a slight shortage of high-profile games in the late hours, so this vital divisional matchup in the Mountain West will have to do. The UNELIMINATED list: most the FBS has already been eliminated from the chase for the college football playoff. Fortunately, a few teams remain. After weeks of looking at the eliminated, let's flip the script by conference. Here's who remains in the CFP picture. American Central Florida, ACC Clemson, Miami. Big 12 Oklahoma, TCU, Big 10 Wisconsin. Conference USA none. Independence Notre Dame, MAC none. Mountain West none. Pac-12 Washington, SEC Alabama, Auburn, Georgia. Sun Belt none.